Hello and welcome to another session on engineering entrepreneurship. We start with the same question, that why startup fail? This question has been time and again discussed in all our previous sessions. So today again we will start with the same question. Why startup fail everywhere around us? This is a critical question. So startup fail everywhere. Startups fail. Startup failure everywhere and around the globe. There are many reasons for that. And one of the reasons is that we apply regular tools to the startups. We apply the same tools that use of regular tool is one of the reason. What tool we usually deploy? We have a good plan. We have solid strategy. We conduct thorough market research. So good plan, solid strategy, and thorough market research. Thorough market research. These are the tools that are deployed to ensure the success of the early startups. But these are the tools which may help us in expanding the existing businesses, but they may not help us overcoming the challenges usually startups fail. These tools are not effective on startups because of multiple reasons. And some of those reasons include that startups operate in a sea of uncertainty. We are in the beginning, we are not sure what are the potential, who are the potential customers. We are not sure even what is going to be the exact product. So if we have uncertainty, not sure about the product or the exact shape of the product which you are going to develop, and not sure who are going to be the potential customers. So a lot of uncertainty, not sure what product you are going to make, and not sure who are going to be the ultimate customers. If we are not sure about any of or all of these items, we may not land at the shore of success. So these are the tools generally deployed, and these are the challenges. So even if you have a good plan, even if you have a solid strategy, even if you have done thorough market research, but you have to operate in a sea of uncertainty where you're not sure which product to build and what customers to serve. You may not get much help from these conventional tools because planning and forecasting, they are only valid if you have a long, stable operating history, relatively static operations. So usually these tools, they will work very well if you have a long, stable operating history and the static operation. Startups, especially the early startups, they have neither the long, stable operating history, nor they have relatively static operation. So these are the challenges. There is another school of thought which we call just do it, JDI, just do it school of thought, that is another issue, because if management is a problem, then chaos could be the solution. So if this is not the answer, what approach we should deploy when we are going to get a new start? So that this approach is developed by Ries, and his book, The Lean Startup. He has explained this approach, the Lean Startup method. So what exactly we have in the Lean Startup method? First of all, we need to define that is there any difference between management and entrepreneurship? We have already defined it, but the question is, are they so diametrically opposite, the management and the entrepreneurship? For that, we need to take the entrepreneurship as a human institution designed to create new products or services under the conditions of extreme uncertainty. This is one of the way we can define entrepreneurship. The lean startup approach can work in any size company or in any sector or industry. Then when we pitch the entrepreneurship versus management, it's not that entrepreneurship is totally against management. If a startup is defined as an institution, then it requires certain degree of management. So putting the management in a totally different place and declaring it mutually exclusive with entrepreneurship, that may not help the early startups. Because as we have defined the entrepreneurship to be a human institution, if that is a human institution, it definitely requires a degree of management. So management is required to handle the extreme uncertainty, because within the definition of the entrepreneurship, the need for management is auto embedded. So entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur should be a job title in modern enterprises. So in just to give a reflection that the entrepreneurship and management, they are not diametrically opposite or mutually exclusive concepts. So the idea is in the modern enterprises, which requires different level of management, they may have entrepreneur as a job title. What does the lean startup approach teach? It teaches validated learning. So experimenting or building something just to learn that you didn't do well is not a great thing. Startups exist to learn and how to build sustainable business. Learning should be validated scientifically by running the frequent experiments, and we have already seen how can we have the leaps of faith, and then we can build dashboards, and these dashboards, they usually guide us, and they let us know when is the right time to pivot and when is the right time to persevere. So validated learning, innovative accounting is another concept. So one of the concept in the lean startup is validated learning. Another concept that we have to come across is innovative accounting. Innovative accounting is to improve the entrepreneurial outcomes, and it holds innovators accountable. It focuses on the boring stuff. That is very critical. Usually, this boring stuff is ignored, and there is a lot that lies there and that needs the attention of the entrepreneurs. How to measure the progress, how to set up the milestones, and how to prioritize the work. This is the boring stuff which the young entrepreneurs, they usually do not consider worthy of their attention. It must be given attention. So this is what we call innovative accounting. And then there is BML, build measure learn loop. This loop shall be used to turn the ideas into products, measure how customers respond if you make a change to product, if you pivot the product, if you have a zoom in pivot or a zoom out pivot or a customer pivot or a technology pivot, anything that you have done, how did customer respond to the change that you have brought to your particular product? Now, this lean startup approach, it suggests three-tier framework, and it is called VSA, that is vision, steer, and accelerate. If you are building a startup, this approach, the lean startup approach, it presents this 12-point methodology, and it is divided into 3 layers. The first layer is vision layer, and the vision layer is further divided into start, define, learn, and experiment. Then comes the steer phase, that is leap, test, measure, and then pivot or persevere. And the third step is accelerate. In accelerate phase is batch, grow, adapt, and innovate. So this is the framework. If we are going to deploy the lean startup method, we must start with vision. And the vision is further subdivided into 4 parts, and that is start, define. Even before you define, there is something that you need to do. And then once you have defined it, then you need to see what you have learned and how you learn to run the experiments, and if you have made a change, how that change is going to be measured. The first bit is vision, that is start, define, learn, and experiment. What happens that when we are defining something, the first, even before you define anything, the start phase, which is actually the first subphase of the vision layer. So if you can recall it, I have already described that this is a 3-layer strategy: vision, steer, and accelerate. And within vision, we have start, define, learn, and experiment. What we are going to do in start, so we have already deliberated this question that entrepreneurship and management, they seem diametrically opposite, but they are not. The lean startup takes from the lean manufacturing. So lean manufacturing, that was developed by Taichi Ono and Shigo Shingo at Toyota. So the Toyota Corporation, they build the lean method. So that is all about management. The startup, they can be lean. They need to be lean. So the lean startups, the word lean is taken from the lean manufacturing, and this was developed at Toyota by Taichi Ono and Shigo Shingo. What they emphasized on, these 2 gentlemen, the Taichi Ono and Shigo Shingo, they emphasized that knowledge and creativity of the individual worker was critical. Knowledge and creativity of the individual worker. And then instead of building large batches and then realizing that if something goes wrong in a batch, the whole batch is gone, they emphasized on shrinking the batch size. So knowledge and creativity of the workers, shrinking the batch sizes, and then just in time production, control of the inventory, and the acceleration of the cycle times. The cycle times were reduced. So this is the lean methodology as presented in the lean manufacturing. So the lean startup methods borrows the philosophy of lean from the lean manufacturing. And the lean manufacturing, these two guys, they were the pioneers of this lean methodology approach. And this approach talks about the knowledge and creativity of the individual worker, shrinking the batch sizes, just instead of having large inventories, they focused on just-in-time production and the reduction of the cycle times. Entrepreneurs use this idea, but they used in a different context, different units of progress, validated learning. They use this idea of lean methods to validate the learning, to discover and eliminate the sources of waste. Just imagine that you are building a product and you have not spoken to the potential customers who are in a better position to give you the feedback that what are the critical features that can be said to be must have. You may end up ignoring the must have feature and um, integrating a lot of those features which customers do not value much. So now this you have actually added a lot of waste. Anything that is not required by the product to perform its intended function as the customers perceive, that is all waste. So this product development process itself has got to be waste free, or the waste has got to be reduced. Hence this approach is called lean. So when we are starting the first phase of the vision layer is start. This is why the start is the first step. Right from the beginning, right at the start of the process, when you have not built anything practically or physically, nothing is built, you are starting, you have to be deploying the lean philosophy or the lean method. What should a comprehensive theory of entrepreneurship actually address? This is generally how we say it: vision and concept, product development, marketing and sales, scaling up, and then partnerships and distribution. It looks as if when you are building a new product, you need all this. Then question is how to make the trade-off decisions, whether and when to invest in process formulation, planning, and creating the infrastructure, when to go get it alone and when to partner, how and when to respond to the feedback and when to stick to the vision, how and when to invest in scaling the business. These are all the questions that must be answered. So that is why it is recommended in the lean startup approach that right from the start, we, instead of building a product that nobody wants, as we have seen in the Webvan case study or Enron's case study, they kept themselves busy. This is a vicious cycle where entrepreneurs, they fall in love with their product and they lose the bigger picture. They lose the oversight of the product development. They subtract the customer from the equation of the product development, and they end up building something that nobody wants. This is something that we have been emphasizing right from our session one, that we have to avoid this vicious cycle. This is a death spiral. We should avoid building something that nobody wants. So here we have a metaphor. an automobile metaphor to explain that how should a startup should start actually. So if we talk about the car has two important feedback loops. The one is between the fuel injection and the combustion events, and another one is between the driver and the steering wheel. You have the feedback loops which are continuously running depending upon that how much gas pedal you have pressed. You are deciding how much fuel that you need to give it, what speed it should be running, and all that. And then the driver is continuously looking ahead. He is looking into the mirrors, he is looking in the back view mirror and the side mirrors, and deciding accordingly how best he can drive the car. Imagine you are a daily commuter on a certain route. You are well versed with the route. The challenge is how to get to the office. This is the end goal, that you have to reach the office, not the street directions, but the every action that you need to take with your hand and your feet. It's just like a choreography. So you are continuously performing a certain set of actions that help you drive and reach your office. While driving, there are what you are going to do is, if you see that there is a roadblock ahead while driving the car, what you are doing, you are keepingly up kept you are continuously keeping yourself updated about the two feedback loops. The one that is between the fuel injection and the combustion events. So how much fuel you need to give shall determine how fast you are going to go. And then when should you keep driving on the straight road or on the main road, and if the main road is blocked for some reason, you can always take a side road in order to reach your end goal or your destination. Now imagine this with that. Compare that if you are not a car driver, you are a rocket launcher, you are the designer, you have done a lot of in advanced calibration, you have used very precise instructions on what to do, the every thrust and every firing of the booster, you have done the calculation on the paper. Then there is a small mistake. When you make a small mistake as a rocket launcher, there is no remedy. And there's a big failure that you are destined at. Whereas if you compare this approach to the car driving, if you see a roadblock ahead, if the road is blocked, you always take a second route or a third route or maybe a fourth route. You can keep pivoting unless you find or until you find the route that takes you to your final destination. Most of the time, when startups are destined or doomed to failure, the entrepreneurs, they behave like the designers of the rocket. They do all calculations, the pre-calculations, precise mathematics, all the market research that they have done. Now everything is beyond their control when it is launched. The lean startup approach, it suggests that the entrepreneurs, they don't behave like the designer of a rocket or a missile. They should behave like a car driver who is continuously keeping an eye on the two feedback systems, the one between the fuel injection and the combustion events, and another one between the driver and the steering wheel. If you see the traffic is getting heavy, you slow down. When you see the road is empty, then you can accelerate. It means that things are still in your control because you have not done all the mathematics like you did in the rocket case. Now you are driving the car. You are constantly pressing and releasing the gas pedal depending upon the speed that is allowed by the traffic density. Startups do have engine of growth. Markets and customers can be different, but the engine of growth is same. Most entrepreneurs they launch rockets and they do not like to drive the cars. That proves fatal. They love to fire the rockets. You are doing all the calculations in a vacuum without talking to the real life customers, your potential customers who are going to make your startup a company. You have not spoken to them. It is very, very unlikely that you will build that they will appreciate and buy. Forecasting significant customer adoption. So when they are building a rocket, that is what they are doing. They are forecasting significant customer adoption, massive infrastructure investments, hiring and support to handle the influx of customers, splashy launches, and then there are no customers. They have committed so much as the designer of the rocket. They have done in advance calibration, precise instrumentation, all complex mathematics that you have done to build the rocket. And then there is a small mistake. The rocket launch is not successful. Same thing happens to the entrepreneurs. When their startup is focused on forecasting, that they're expecting that there will be a lot of customers. Customers will be flocking to adopt, and in the anticipation of a huge customer influx, they build massive infrastructure. They hire a lot of people to support the influx of the customer. They have spent so much money on marketing, and then there are no customers. What they do, they achieve failure successfully. This is something that is required. When we are in the vision phase, when we are envisioning a startup, the first step when we start, we need to make sure that we behave like a car driver, not like a rocket launcher. So the engine metaphor that we have taken, the startup again is a portfolio of activities. There is a lot happening simultaneously, just like the engine of a car. The engine is running. You are continuously acquiring new customers. You are serving the existing ones. Then you have to tune it. When you are speaking to the customer, you're trying to improve your product and marketing and operations. You are steering, you are continuously looking ahead, and you're deciding if there is a roadblock ahead, then you need to change your way. And if you see the road is clear, you keep going on. So the challenge is how you balance these activities. Just like the engine needs to run. In the startup case, this engine running is just like acquiring new customers and serving the existing. And when you are offering something, you are continuously improving. You are listening to the customers. You are seeking their feedback. And through their feedback, you are improving your product. And then when you are steering, you know what and when is the good time to pivot or when is the good time to persevere. So the second step in the vision phase is define. Once you have decided on the startup phase that while starting anything, we should behave like a car driver, not like a rocket launcher. So this next step is define. Over here, we do the precise breakdown of our activities. Entrepreneurs who operate inside an organization, they are called an entrepreneur. And as we have already defined the entrepreneurship to be a human institution designed to create new products or services under extreme conditions of uncertainty. This is critical. Uncertainty, you don't know who the customer will be, you don't know what will be the final shape of the product. Now the question is, does it say about the size? No. The lean startups or these ideas, they are valid across all sectors, across all companies and industries and economies. As this is an institution, it does require some sort of management. So we need to answer a few questions that how this to be part of a startup, if startups are full of building an institution, hiring creative employees, coordinating their activities, creating a company culture that delivers. So these are all the things that you should be focused at in the beginning when you are starting and you are the one who has dream of building something. So that you have to build that institution, the human institution. Why institution? Because without building an institution, you will not be able to hire creative people, coordinate their activities, and creating a company culture. All these things, they require certain degree of management. So that is required. Then a human institution, what does that human institution do? It creates new products or services. The new products or services, they are the source value for the people who become customers. Why should people buy what they buy from you? And you can build up end up building up a grocery store, an e-commerce website, a consulting service, or a non-profit social service agency. And then innovation, that is critical. If you are going to offer what everyone is offering, same thing in the same packing, you may not have enough customers. So novel scientific discoveries are the things that you need to see. Repurposing an existing technology for new use, that is another possible. You may not have to bring in a new or disrupting technology, but yes, what you can do is you can repurpose the existing technology and use it in a new way. That is a new form of innovation. Devising a new business model that unlocks the hidden value. Same product, same customers, but a different product business model. Bringing the product to a new location to the previously underserved set of customers. And then end is the context uncertainty. So when we are defining what we are building, once you have started and you have come up with an idea that you will drive car and you will keep an eye on, you will build that loop, you will continuously look for running of an engine and then continuously tuning the engine and then steering. So running, tuning, and steering, that is the start. When we define, we actually start with that definition. That this is how entrepreneurship is defined. Within the definition of entrepreneurship, all these items, they are must-have things. You need to build it like an institution, products and services. These are some of the things that you need to offer. And then what is innovation? Innovation may not be as it is commonly held that you have to reinvent the wheel. You have to bring something into life that does not exist before. That is not the case.